Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to week 3 rankings with us. Um,
With us.
this week, not a ton went down to shake up the dynamics of the house, but a lot of like little changes were made in people standing with one another, so it definitely is interesting to talk about. Um, I guess the big thing to address out of the way right now is just due to our schedules. We're doing rankings at a slightly different time. So, although it looks like we know who's going home, we don't know for sure who's going home. It could be close. In addition, there is a double eviction that's coming up that we don't know what happened at yet. So these scores are going to be based upon the week so far, and also for me taking into account who's likely to leave in the double, who has like no chance of going, so on and so forth. So I feel like scores are a bit of prediction as well, um, this week, as opposed to normal, which is exciting. I'm excited to talk about how this week is unfolding because it still is unfolding and what might happen tonight in just 3 hours or so. So yeah. Steven, any major thoughts on the week?
No, kind of a plain Jane week. We got two final nominees here. We don't know what's gonna happen, and also we have the double coming up. So very exciting stuff happening today.
Fun. Um, I don't really feel the need to dive into all of the events that happened this week. The major like plot points to hit are just like kind of what the sides are at this point and how that's kind of changed. So after Zach was voted out, um, the four votes to keep him, Tyler, Jay, Ava, and Liz, quickly realized with one another that they were the four votes. In addition, Julia was very quick to get back in their good graces, um, because she wanted Zach to stay, and just went with where the numbers were going because she realized that's where the numbers were going. So the five of them are definitely like a side of the house. They're not necessarily like they're not in a five-person alliance. They're not grouped up. However, they all like know that one another are like the votes that kept them. So like I and as you saw with Tyler, like if one of them won HOH, them as a group is definitely safe with one another for now, which is good. On the other side of the house, we still have Ryan, Sarah, and Brogan as our core of pretty much everything that's happening over there. However, I think their priority of allies has shifted. I think if I had to rank them in terms of like each other's priorities of if Ryan, Sarah, and Brogan are all on an equal core, I'd say Danny right now, or not Danny. Andy is easily number 4. Danny is easily number 5. From there, it gets a little shaky. I think, in all honesty, like Kaylin could be 6 at this point. I think then you have Michael at 7, Max at 8. Um, with hopefully in their eyes Abby going this week. However, despite it looking like it's going to be that way, and I would be surprised if Abby didn't end up leaving here at this eviction. Um, I said it earlier to a few people that aren't in the game. I was like, yeah, Abby's like done. There's nothing that Abby can really do to get the votes for her. However, having seen what kind of a player Michael is, there definitely is a world where Michael like fucks it for himself. And that world could easily be playing out as we speak because that is like happening. And a lot of people are already like, can he shut up? He's so bad at this. Do we have to keep him? And I think they still will, but there is over 3 hours until this vote is happening. So if Michael continues to absolutely fuck it for himself, he could be the third boot, and I would not be mad at it at all. Great. That's kind of where we stand. Steven,
Yeah.
any thoughts? Or do we just want to dive in?
No, I'm ready to dive in.
Awesome. Alrighty. Then let's start with Abby. She is one of our two nominees. most likely the person going home. Um, Abby is here for a good time, and I appreciate that about Abby. However, she pulled a very interesting move this week that I think she did in the spirit of fun, I think.
And it was this. Sorry, were you going to talk about something else?
Yeah, no, that I was
Oh.
that isn't what came to my mind, but Long John Silver's Live, Laugh, Love. Hopefully we don't lose it this week. Oh, Abby. No, what Abby decided to do this week was vote in the majority. She voted in the majority and was, to be clear, in the majority for the Zach vote, but has done everything in her power to convince everyone that she is in the minority. So now two things have happened.
Oh,
One,
I know Sean is watching this right now.
the majority is like, Abby's not with us, clearly. And the minority is like, we know Abby wasn't with us. So you know what that's leading towards this week? Everyone wanting Abby out because no one has her on their side except for Kaylin, who is doing her damnedest to be like, no, people in the majority. Abby was in the majority. And Abby was like, nope, I voted to evict Andy. I don't know what these people are talking about. And it's like, Abby, girl, you're in the numbers. If you tell the people that aren't in the numbers that you were in the numbers, like, they can't do any, like, they still have to work with you because they're, oh yeah, not in the majority. Like, so, it's been fun, but it has been the thing that has directly led to her demise because the person, like, we knew who the HOH was after the eviction pretty quickly. Abby has gone to Liz, Julia, Jay, and Ava being like, I was the fourth vote, as in she's trying to claim like Tyler was not with them, but Tyler's the HOH, so obviously he knows who the, like, he's gonna put you up. It just like there was just no brain cells here this week in terms of good strategy. Um, I'm gonna give Abby a 2
Yes.
because she's probably going home. The fact that she might not go home is not a testament to anything good that she's done. It is only a testament of how shit Michael is playing this right now. So I'm gonna give Abby a 2. I hope she's still here at our next rankings because Abby is fun to watch play, and I love having her in the game. And I think Caitlyn gets significantly less fun to have in the game if
Yeah.
Abby leaves. But
Caleb's
I
gonna be
don't.
like, I'm leaving.
Yeah, literally. I don't think Abby will be with us at our next rankings, but maybe. But it's gonna be a 2 for me.
I'm giving her a two as well. I love Abby so much, but she's like, she's the player that like doesn't want to be here the most, but is like trying to be here, but is actively doing things that makes it seem like she doesn't want to be here. You know, like she doesn't have enough time to be here for the game, and but she's actively trying to stay, but is actively doing a bad job at staying. I don't think we ever had anyone like that. Like that's crazy. So
Yeah, she's just like actively working against herself unintentionally.
I don't know why she would lie about her vote. So Sean is kicking the air right now, punching the air. Two for me, for Ab E. Rip. Okay. Really had hope for her. Okay.
Listen, maybe she'll still be here.
I really hope so.
Let's see if Michael can shit the bed enough in the next 3 hours.
Brogan just said I want to keep Michael because Abby is in a showmance with Jay.
Yeah. No, okay, wait, I'm sorry. We
We
haven't
need
talked
to
about the
talk
power
about
rankings at all. But it'll be in the episodes because for some reason showmances have been a like major discussion and deciding factor this season. Everyone is a fucking showmance with everyone. What's a showmance, you might ask? I don't know.
A
We're texting
two-person
people.
alliance.
A two-person alliance where like you flirt maybe a little. Like,
I don't think they flirt.
no, and no, but that's the thing. Abby and Jay definitely don't. Here's the problem though. Like Abby hates Jay, despises Jay, actively wants nothing to do with Jay, but is doing everything in her power to convince people that she voted with him. So I don't know about that. But like wants nothing to do with Jay. The issue for Abby is Jay in his delusional fucking world that he lives in is like over here telling people like, sorry, yeah, no, I'm evicting Michael. Abby's my girl. What? No, she's not.
Michael said,
He hates
"Hey,
you.
I want to apologize for last week." Jay said, "I'm just gonna pull this up." Jay said, "And you can drag it right." He's like, "I'm gonna drag my ass in here to beg for forgiveness." And Jay said, "And you can drag it right out. Don't waste your time trying to get my vote. Abby is my girl. If it was someone else, I'd totally help you out." Abby's like, "What?"
Yeah, Abby got a hold of this screenshot and is like, I'm his girl. I don't want to be that. It doesn't help that she's like claimed to be his girl in the house chat. Yeah, like, ugh, it's just bizarre. She just needs like this is the other thing that kills me, and we'll talk about this for a lot of people because this was an issue last week and now it's being an issue this week. I can't make this clear enough. No one in the house likes Jay. So, but like people feel like some people do, so they're not saying it.
All right, Abby. Yeah. Okay, Andy.
Abby. Okay, Andy, yeah. Andy last week had a 4 from me and a 3 from you. Um, for me, Andy, I finally have, I think, the read on like who she is as a player. To me, she's reminding me a lot of kind of the position that Kayla was in last season. Competent, well liked, becoming very well connected, and it's just kind of in a good spot. But I don't see a world where Andy actively pushes against anything that anyone is telling her. And just with like, that's not like there are some players in the past that have like been like, okay, I see how this game is playing out. However, I'm going to bide my time and then strike when it matters most. And sometimes they do that, like the case of Luke, and sometimes they don't, like the case of Andrew Kalmeyer. And you know what? At least like we're saying, I know I see it, but I'm going to strike where when it counts. Andy, I don't get the vibe that she's ever going to strike ever. She's very much giving just like kind of last week. Like she's just like gonna trust the people that tell her they trust her, and it's just gonna like go with it from there. And I think if she wins HOH, she'll like do what her allies tell her to do. Like I don't know. I'm just not high on my game strategic prospects for Andy. In terms of her positioning, for now, I think being like the number 4 for Brogan, Ryan, and Sarah is like a very good safe position to be. I think Andy is actually going to be safe for quite a bit of time because I also think that like Ava, Liz, even Tyler, this like it aren't looking at her, and I think that she'll be fine. Um, so I was at a 4 last week based off of her position. I don't know. I'm torn between going up to a 5 or a 6, in all honesty. How um I'm gonna I'm gonna give Andy the 6 this week. But it's very much like A 6 to me is you're in a good position, but you in order to get a 7, you need to be driving the game in some way. And I think that like this 6 rating is like Andy's ceiling. Like I would be surprised if I ever went above this score for literally the rest of the season. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's where I'm at with Andy right now. I think she's in a good core. She's got Brogan, she's got Danny, she's got Ryan. Her and Sarah have been talking good. These are good numbers for her. She talks to people well now. I just don't see it going above a 6, but it's a 6 for now.
I'm gonna go up to, but I'm going up to a 5. I think she's recovered well from being on the block last week and almost going home. Um, she's definitely in a place where people are approaching her to use her as a number going into this vote, which is great. And I think the same thing. I think that Andy could be someone who's with us for a long time, but is she going to be someone who is going to be driving the game moving forward? At least not right now and not for the upcoming weeks, I would think, just based on the position she's in right now. So she's kind of just there. People are kind of like getting her to get her vote, which is great, but that only goes so far for this game, and especially heading into the jury starting in a few days. So 5 for me.
This is something that's interesting because how this vote is playing out so far. And granted, like this isn't playing into my score as much. Oh, thank you. Well, no, the 5.5 is still yellow, but when it comes to this vote, so this week, Kaylin made an alliance with Andy, and we'll talk about that alliance when we get to Kaylin. But the point is, Andy is in an alliance, and Abby is in that alliance, and she doesn't really have any game talks with Michael. So on paper, Andy should want to keep Abby this week. However, immediately in her closest alliance with Brogan and Danny, who hasn't said anything yet, um, and Brogan, Brogan is like really hard pushing for Abby to go. And like pretty quick, like you could tell that Andy was hesitant by the way she was talking about the vote, but like hesitant in a relative sense because pretty quickly, because Brogan just laid out like 3 points that like didn't even totally make sense, but they were just like reasons. And because Brogan was listing out reasons and was steadfast on this, Andy pretty quickly was just like, yeah, okay. Because we're in an alliance, we'll vote out Abby. I'm like, Andy, that's not good for you. And that's why I'm like, I don't think she's ever gonna do things that are like, she's never gonna actively do anything against the people that are with her, even if doing that would be better for her game. So I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Ava.
Ava. Oh, this breaks my heart. This one's sad because whereas I feel like a lot of people that were on the wrong side of the Zach vote recovered relatively well, I don't think Ava did. Um, just in the sense that I don't think she's gotten worse by any means. But whereas like last week, a lot of people like the conversation was like, oh, we really like Ava, we want to work with Ava, but we can't right now while Zach and Jay are here. And now I think people have looked elsewhere for numbers. And I think a lot of people have been like, yeah, if I win HOH, we can just throw Ava and Jay up there. Or like I feel like her name has actually come up the most, but aside from Jay, but I'm not even like counting him at this point, as like just an easy person to take out on the other side. I think Tyler has more numbers. I think Julia has more numbers. I think even Liz is at least seen as a lesser threat. Um, so I don't know. I'm just not I'm not optimistic about her position right now. And her thought process is still good and she still has a good read on things, but it doesn't matter if your positioning's not there. Like she needs to wait to be here. I don't know. She just something needs to happen. She needs to actively do something or she needs to wait for a crack to form. And I just don't see the crack forming soon. especially while Jay is still here. Like while people are united on that, I don't know. I'm just, ugh. I don't think it's impossible for her to go on this double. I'm gonna be so real. Um, I'm not feeling great. I'm gonna lower my score to a 4. I'm not feeling horrible, but I'm not feeling great. It makes me sad because I really like Ava.
Yeah, I agree. She's in a tricky position, coming out on the wrong side of the vote after last eviction. I do think that she's one of the people with the fewest numbers surrounding her who was on the wrong side of the vote last time. Um, I thought it was funny. Wait, let me see if I can find it. We'll get there when we get to Kaylin, but Kaylin made it an incorrect alliance last night. She accidentally included Ava when she meant to include Brogan. Something is I've never seen this happen with anybody's phone before. I've never seen someone like put in someone's contact and it like changes. So that's unfortunate. But she was like, oh, that's weird that Kaylin added me to that chat. Well, I guess I'm looking for more alliances. And I'm like, no, that's not, no, that was a mistake. But I really like Ava. She gives her late night talks to us, which I love, which I think is fun. But positioning isn't great. I'm going to go for a 4 as well. Mm, okay. Brogan.
Rogan. Um, I'm feeling very good about Rogan. Um, he's a very active player, which in this game I think is key. I think if like with peace and love, a a passive player is not gonna win. It's just not gonna happen. Unless your name is Emma McIntyre, it's not gonna happen. Um, and that was an extreme circumstance. Like so being an active player is gonna give you a chance to win. And I think Brogan is currently rivaling Ryan and Sarah for setting himself up in the best position. Before, I would say that like Ryan and Sarah were the ones in control. And I lean more towards it being Brogan at this point because I think Brogan has a stronger grasp on Andy and Danny than Ryan and Sarah do. Um, Brogan's also done a good job at like talking to Liz, and now Liz really likes Brogan, and talking to Tyler. And although Tyler might not be a Brogan fan, is looking for numbers to the point that like that is a fine relationship for now. And Brogan's been doing a good job at like branching out beyond the Ryan and Sarah-ness of it all and locking in numbers for himself that I think eventually, hopefully, when things begin to shift, that he's going to be set up pretty well. Um, he's not being obvious about it, but again, people aren't like not clocking it. I think it's well known that a lot Brogan is very well liked, but I don't think that matters because I don't think anyone's going to be able to like gather the numbers to get rid of Brogan
Mhm.
anytime soon against anyone in the house. Truly. I'm gonna raise my score to an 8. I think Brogan is
Yeah,
just setting himself up really, really well.
yeah, that's what I'm doing too. I think I do agree. I think Brogan is in the position right now to be overtaking Sarah and Ryan for that top spot of controlling the game. I think. Well, I mean, we'll get to Ryan and Sarah when we talk about them, but I think Brogan is connecting himself a lot better, and people he's actively playing in a stronger way with people. So I think that while Ryan and Sarah are now being looked at a little bit, which again we'll talk about, I think Brogan moving forward is going to be here for the long haul unless there's some crazy power flip that happens. But we'll see. But 8 for me, and 8 all around. For Brogan, good increase. Ooh,
Steadily on the uprise.
all right. Danny.
Danny's to me, like in the same spot that Andy is, but it's just like worse with Peace and Love. Um, Danny's being utilized as a number. I don't know. Danny, like, I don't know. I'm just like a little frustrated with Danny
You want me to
in terms.
start?
Yeah, you go first.
I think Danny right now to me is like the one of the most neutral people we've had. Like I feel perfectly nothing about Danny right now. I'm gonna stick with a five for Danny. I think that Danny is not in the position right now to be leaving the game, but I also think they're playing a little less than Andy. I think Andy is setting herself up in a better position than Danny is, but I think Danny is just like not, which isn't necessarily like I'm frustrated with her. To be honest, I think we could see Danny like start doing some stuff. I don't think that's like off the table. I don't think that's off the table.
I
Um,
agree.
moving forward through the game, especially like there's so much happening right now, and in the past week, like the whole thing with Zach, the whole house, their sides split and formed, and people are against each other, and people like each other, and people don't like each other. And Danny's kind of just there, which I don't think is necessarily like bad, but also you need agency in the game to make things happen, and Danny just doesn't have that right now. So
Any agency.
I I think five is like the perfect score for her, in my opinion, from me.
I think that Danny, yeah, like again, I think Danny and Andy are in the most similar and comparable positions. But I have Andy at the six because I think Andy is actively talking to people, whereas Danny is passively talking to people. People are going to Danny being like, "What are you thinking?" And then Danny will say what they're thinking and then like leave it at that. And I just don't know where Danny goes to do anything. And I agree that like I think Danny is someone that absolutely could just decide one day like, okay, it's time to play and then like go for it. But that's not something that I've seen any proof of either. Like that's just like what my gut is telling me. Um I'm at a five as I yeah, I'm staying at my five as well. It's not a bad position. If anything, Danny's being brought into the core of things more now. But I just think like literally like Danny does care about the game and is actively thinking about the game, but I just think is doing it in such a passive kind of comes off as like I don't care kind of way. I can't even describe it. It's just like I don't know. I just don't know where Danny goes.
Well, that's third straight five for Danny in a row. Yeah. Jay. Jay!
This guy.
Hey!
Um, one of two things has happened with Jay. One, now that Zach is left, he just doesn't give a fuck and isn't trying to play the game and is hoping to go home. Or two, he thinks, despite the fact that Zach left, that he's still running things and totally fine and is just like living delusionally
To be
that
clear, the
like
first one is not what I said. I said that he. I didn't say he wants to go home.
no, sorry, I agree. But I think one of two things happen. One being now that Zach's gone, he just like doesn't care as much and it's just like letting things happen. Or two, thinks that the move against Zach was like actually a move against Zach and that like he's still totally fine and in the position of running the
I don't
house.
think that's true.
I've seen no evidence that that's not the case though. Like he still talks to people as if he's just like got it going on. So,
I think he's like, I'm just gonna play and not give a shit about what happens.
and you know what? Maybe both is true. I think maybe he is playing and not giving a shit about what happens and still thinks that he's fine. And that's why he, like, I don't know. Either way, it's just not good. Yeah, like this is a crazy conversation.
Damn, that's so funny.
Um,
uh,
I don't know. I was down at a 2 last week because Jay actively, absolutely fucked it for Zach. This week I'm up to a 3
yeah.
because I think that he didn't do anything actively bad this week, other than probably like if Abby had any chance to stay, which is what Jay wants, he's going to be the reason why she goes home by calling her his girl, which is not the case. Um, so he's just constantly fucking it for his allies, like literally. Oh my God. Um,
uh,
but I'm up to a 3 because he didn't actively shit the bed like he did last week. And but it's still lower than a 4 because I like he is the most likely double eviction boot. If he doesn't win a comp, I think he's done for.
yeah, I'm gonna stay at my three. I just. Oh wait, I didn't put it in last week's one. Oh, that's Jared. Um, I think I agree with you. I don't want it to be him just because I like the dynamic of having him in the house, but I think it's gonna be him.
No, I'm ready for him to go. I don't like the dynamic of him in the house. I'm ready. Like he's done his villain thing. That's great. I'm ready for him to go before the jury starts. One, so that I don't have to deal with him on the jury. But two, so that like I think so long as Jay is here, in my mind, like there's not a world where Sarah, Ryan, Brogan, Andy, Dan, like that collective, Michael, that collective of people, Kaylin makes any moves like against each other while Jay is here. Like I think we need Jay to go.
Maybe,
And
but I
once
see scenarios. I feel like if Jay wins like a competition or
sure, but no one's gonna actively be like, we could pull in Jay and make a move. Like
correct,
like
but
we need Jay to go before people
I don't
start
know.
actively making moves. Like if people can make a move on Jay, they're going to. Obviously, if Jay wins a competition, they have to come up with something else. But like Jay is not gonna like skate by and get back into the majority. He's just like done. So I'm ready for him to go so things can change.
We'll see. Three for Jay this week. Cool. Julia,
Julia, okay. Julia is still clearly a competent player. I don't think
is that the
she's
bar?
played this week as smoothly as last week. I think that, and it's fine because I like, I think Ryan put it best actually. He's like, I don't think Julia is against us and like playing us, but I don't think Julia is with us and like playing the other side. I think Julia's alliances lie with Julia. And right now, while this team twist is in play, that means like keeping her team safe and doing whatever that means. And I think Julia has like pretty outwardly kind of been like, I'm Team Twisters right now. So like I'm gonna try and protect Kaylin, Abby, and Michael. And that's fine. Um, I do think she's fallen on people's lists on the whole in terms of like who they want to work with, but she is still more active than most in like getting information and talking with people. Um, so I still feel great about her chances. I don't feel like she's going anywhere anytime soon. Um, but whereas like last week I could have seen a world where I was like, oh, Julia's gonna like form her own core and like really be able to like play this middle well. Now I think she'll still be able to like ride the middle a bit, but like has been fully clocked in that position and is not the most trusted player in the house. So I'm gonna lower my score to a 6. I still feel good about her, but definitely not as good. It's like it's just like a good position, but I don't think she necessarily has the agency to like if she said that she wanted to do something, I feel like people would not be like, oh, let me listen to Julia's reasoning. And would more be like, Julia's trying to make a move and convince me to do something that
Mhm.
I don't want to do. So I'm at a 6 for Julia.
I agree. I'm going to down to a 6 as well. I really like Julia. She's just in. She's playing the middle a little too well, and she's getting caught for it. But I want to say that if I was rooting for one person to win the game right now, I think I would be saying it's for Julia. I really would love to see Julia win the game. So I'm hoping, and there's a lot that can happen. I think that she's capable of repositioning herself once as the game continues and sides keep shifting and forming and the house keeps shifting in general. But I think she's competent enough where she can put herself in a good position, and I know she can win competitions, which is already that's a huge advantage, obviously. So I think I think Julia's going to be going up soon, but 6 for now because she's still dealing with the kind of the fallout of everything that's happened and etc. So 6 for now. Okay. Yay. Kaylin.
Kaylin is in such a funny position.
I love Kaylin.
I love Kaylin so much. Kaylin is like literally, I think Kaylin is my favorite. I love Kaylin. Um, Kaylin, oh, let me get my score out of the way first. I'm gonna stay at my 5 for Kaylin.
Yeah, me too.
Um, and I'm staying at my 5 because there
A
were
6
a
is just like
series.
too high for Kaylin right now.
Oh no, she's not getting a 6.
But I'm just
No,
saying,
not in
but
my
I'm saying
range.
I think she's in such a good position, or she has so many people coming up to her and trying to talk to her and tell her things. But a 6, like that's just like not what a 6 is, you know?
You, well, no, like that is what a 6 is.
No,
And
no,
if
no,
it
no.
was
Wait,
just that like that would be a 6. The issue
yeah,
is Caitlyn is just not good enough at the game to like just allow that to
exactly.
happen.
Like people are
And she
coming up to
keeps
her and
like
telling her stuff, but
accidentally like fucking it up for herself.
she just like doesn't know what to do with it. Like she doesn't, and she I don't know how people keep coming up to her either. Like, how does nobody know that she and Abby know each other? I don't understand that.
People have started to know each other. I don't think so. But like they know they're a duo. They talk about them as a duo.
But it's very different.
And that's also I think a reason why they want Abby out. Because they want to work with Kaylin, but they don't want to work with Abby. And people know that as soon as Abby's out, they can pull in Kaylin. Um, Kaylin right now is like you said, everyone's talking about working with Kaylin. A lot of people are. Sarah, Ryan, Brogan. I think Kaylin is if we're talking about this as like a game of chess and like people are collecting pieces, right now, Brogan, Ryan, and Sarah are the three people collecting pieces. They are the three power players that right now are working as a group, but are definitely like individually collecting people. And I think like the one of them to come out on top will be the one that collects the most people. And Kaylin is like, I think the most crucial piece on the board for Sarah. Um, and truthfully, I think it's a miss on Sarah's part. And we'll talk about Sarah to be letting Abby go because I think Abby does want to work with Sarah. And that's more of Abby's fault than Sarah's fault because Abby has not done a good job at expressing that. But yeah, so like, but people really want to work with Caitlyn. However, Abby going this week is not a good thing for Caitlyn. Um, the accidental alliance spoof was so funny, but not great, obviously. Um, but with that being said, she is someone that I think like as we've seen these last 2 weeks, like I think her head's in the game now, and she is actively pushing for what she wants.
I just hope she doesn't lose that with Abby leaving.
What I hope happens is like Abby leaving, Kaylin and Abby like Abby can still play. It's just through the vehicle of Kaylin. And now they're just like playing together. So like Abby can be like, okay, Kaylin, like, no, like talk to like we can still do this. And then it's just like Caitlyn is playing with Abby as one. Like, like
Sean
that's what I,
McFadden kind of situation.
huh?
Nothing.
Well, I thought I heard what you said and I was like, what?
Nothing.
Okay. Um, oh, yes, yes. Um, yes. Oh my gosh. So that's, oh Lord, that's on the internet forever now.
It's fine.
Yeah,
Five. Yeah, I'm going to five too. I already said that. All right.
yeah.
Um, Yay. They've gotten the same score. Oh no.
No, Caitlyn started low.
Oh wait. Who's that other line? I can't even
Dan
tell.
So Caitlyn's the dashed blue line that went up to the purple line and has met it, and Danny is the purple line that has gone 5-5-5.
Wait, but who's the one that was before? Tied with Danny. Is that Zach? No.
Max, because Max went 5-5, and
Oh,
now we're
that is
about to,
Max.
and now we're gonna rank Max soon.
Okay, Liz.
Um,
Liz.
oh, time for my
Liz.
favorite segment. Let's pull up Liz's diary rooms of the week.
Okay.
Um, Liz, Liz stays being the funniest person in here. I'm sorry. Like
Liz.
I thought it was gonna be Abby, but and like Abby is still hilarious. I love Abby, but like Liz, dark horse for fun. Like I love Liz. Liz is so much fun. And for me, the arc this week, like listen, I think Liz found her niche because before, like in week one, Liz was very much like, oh yeah, like no, I'm just super excited to talk to people and like meet people and like was trying to like do the nice thing. I think Liz has realized that it's a lot easier just to be herself, and she's bonded with people a lot better. Yeah, by hating people. Um, and honestly, like hating people drives people together. And she talked with Tyler, and the two of them quickly realized that like each other were on the bottom and that they hated everyone. And they were like, great, that's perfect. Yes. What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
You wish you were the roach.
Like, I don't know what that means, but I love it. Um, And I think her bonding with Tyler over her hatred for everyone else in the house is exactly what she needed to like get in the game. I think her and Ava now are like a lovely little duo that needed each other, and their like bonding of hating Max and thinking that Max is a snake has bonded them. Liz is now trying to talk with Julia. Like she's getting more
Yeah.
numbers, and that is great for Liz. In addition, I think the other side has talked less about targeting Liz, which is good for her. I think she's definitely still in the minority. She's not been brought into the numbers, but like Rogan's talked to her, that's definitely a good thing. I think people would rather vote out Ava at this point than Liz. Jay is still a big threat. I think Liz has room to maneuver. There is definitely still a world, but like Liz is still someone that unfortunately could be a likely boot in the double. I wouldn't be shocked if next week we came back and Liz was not here. But I don't think she's the most likely outcome. And I do think she has some avenues. She's still on the bottom, but has a way forward. I was at a 3 last week. Um, I'm gonna raise it to a 4. I think her and Ava are in similar positions, but I'm hoping that she has a way forward. It just hasn't fully presented itself yet, but this is definitely a lot better. But it is still a 4 because she is still absolutely disconnected and on the bottom of the house.
I was at a four. I'm going up to a five. I think that Liz, that magic veto that she won, I think is really saved her game. I think that people are starting to approach her now. Michael is like begging her for her vote. People are really, again, a similar position as Ava's in, but I think Liz has reintegrated herself a lot better. And I really like, if I had to like, if I had to choose someone to be in like the top six, like if I could just like save them until then, I just like want Liz to stick around
Yeah,
forever. So I'm hoping she does. Uh,
agreed. Something interesting I actually think to talk about, and I actually think you made a great point right there that is not even something that I really thought about. We'll talk about it more with Tyler also, but the nominees this week are Michael and Abby. what I think likely, what should have been a likely outcome this week was like this week definitely could have been the house is divided. Oh my God, I have to sneeze. No, I don't. This house is divided into two clear sides, and each of those sides has a hierarchy. And no matter who the noms are, the side with the majority will come to a clear consensus on who the target is. And it would have kept everyone else on the bottom. What's interesting about a Michael and Abby set of nominees is Michael and Abby have different people in the majority, and thus it's forcing the majority to talk about what they want, and it's also forcing Michael and Abby to go to the people in the minority and like get them on their side. And because they're split also, like I do think that the discussion of this vote is ingratiating Liz back into people's conversations more. And same goes for Ava, and same, not even, no, Jay not, because Jay said, don't come to me for your vote. Um, but is like, it's interesting. I'll be interested to see how the rest of this plays out. I still don't feel great about her chances just from her position, but I do think like this was a step up. So yeah.
Cool. 4.5. There we go. Okay. Max.
Max is in, again, just a tricky position. What we said on rankings last week, I think Max did the same thing as Abby and nearly got evicted for it in the same way. It doesn't make sense for you to be in the majority and lie to convince people that you were in the minority, because it's like the minority is very easily able to figure out like obviously Tyler, Ava, and Jay were keeping Zach. Like the three of them
Mhm.
knew that based on their alliances. So there's no convincing any of the three of them that like one of the other three flipped and that you actually stuck by Zach. Like that's just not a reasonable story. So Max trying to be like, what? No, I kept Zach. Like no one bought it for a second because why would they? They knew who the votes were. So it just made Max that much more of a less trustworthy figure. And in addition, with the majority, it makes it look like why is Max trying to save face with them? We can't really trust Max. Max is a bit skeevy, didn't really reveal their vote to us until like the last second. I don't know. Like same with Abby. I don't know what Max is doing in that regard. Um,
But Abby does it funnier.
but exactly. Um,
It's like funny when Abby does it.
Max, I'm definitely not raising my score on Max. Um, but I do think that like he's still in a fine enough position that he's not the main target moving forward. But it definitely is still, it's just like a very like position. So I'm gonna be staying at my 5 for Max again. Um, but like Kaylin has a 5 because so many people want to actively bring her in, but she's like fucking it up for herself a little bit. Max is at a 5 because his position allows for that, but no one actively wants to bring him in. Like it's like the opposite problem almost. Ivy on the block. Yeah.
That was
Love
to
Abby.
Tyler right now. Tyler knows that because you put her
Put her
up.
up. And then we can vote.
I love these people. But to Max now. I'm going down to a 4. I
I
think.
thought you might.
I think. I mean, Max was nominated this week. I think Max had a serious chance of going home if they did not win the veto. Um, I think it could have been close, but I think it would have been Max. Even I'm talking to Sarah, and Sarah was like, I probably would have voted on Max over Abby.
Yeah, I know I said I disagreed with you before, but I do think Jay, Julia, Liz, um, who's the fourth one in that group? Ava.
Yeah, Ava.
I think those four definitely would have voted out Max. Then you also have Kaylin, who would have voted out Max. As soon as you have Sarah there, I think at that point Andy like does fight more. No, let's be so real, she doesn't. But um, I do agree. I think there is more of a push for Max to go.
I think he could be going home if something like this situation happens again in the future, unless he can get someone together. But four and a half.
Agreed.
Michael.
This man, my God. Um, what like we said last week that people were starting to be like, okay, like we really trust Michael, we're gonna bring him in. But at the very last second, when it came down to the vote, Michael became a paranoid fucking mess. And people were like, Michael, what is going on? We're fine. Why are you freaking out? And this week, as soon as Michael got put on the block, we immediately saw the same thing where Michael is the biggest person that's afraid of screenshots and thus he doesn't want to say anything. But Michael is also the biggest culprit of sending screenshots left and right. And he like got a screenshot of a conversation with Jay and he sent it to Ryan and Brogan and was like, I got a screenshot. Should I send it? We need to lock down the votes on Abby. Should I send it to the house chat? I'm going to send it to the house chat. And they were like, no, what are you doing? And Michael's like, okay, I already sent it to Ava though. They were like, why? To get Ava on my side. But we have the numbers. Okay, but I just want to make sure. Do you think we have the numbers? Julie is the snake. I think we need to push that Abby is the snake though. Hey, Caitlin, I think, do I have your vote? It's just doing too much and it's too much bad. Um,
Yeah.
to the point where like last week he got a 6 because he was actively being brought in and was the 4 for Ryan, Sarah, and Brogan. And he's so actively like fucked it for himself that not only have they pushed him like way, way below, like Andy is now higher, Danny is now higher. I think Kaylin is now higher on their list of people to work with. Um, I think Max is higher on that list of people to work with for like Brogan. Um, that like not only do I think are they fine with cutting him soon, but like I think it's smarter for people, specifically Sarah, to cut him now. Make the move. Get rid of him. He's bad. And it's because of Michael's own actions. I was at a 4 in week 1, up to a 6 in week 2. If you asked me heading into this rankings, like even just like 2 hours ago, I would have only gone down to a 5. But it's just progressively gotten worse. So I'm going back down to the red scores and I'm going to give him a 4. But I'm worried that like if we did rankings, say like another hour from now, that it should be even lower.
Yeah, I'm
So
going down to a 3. Um, and if he ends up going home, I'm giving him a 2. I'm going back and I'm changing this. But I'm giving him a 3 for now. I think he's just
if
like,
if Michael ends up going home, I'm giving him a 1 because he should not have like if Michael ends up going home, it was explicitly his own fault because he had the numbers.
so not good. Actively bad gameplay by Michael. But we'll see what happens. Because I like as a person, like I do actually really like Michael. I like talking, like hearing what he has to say. Like,
No, me too.
but he's kind of just like it's like, what are you doing?
What are you
What
doing?
what's going
Stop.
on? Heavy on the what are you doing? Okay, there we go. 3.5 for Michael. Okay, Ryan.
Okay. Ryan and Sarah. I almost feel the need to talk about them as a duo
I think we should.
because they're doing so much of the same things. Um, I'm going to be giving I'm going to be giving both of them the same score this week. And I'm happy to just reveal that for both of them now and plug it in. And for me, that is a 7.
That's what I'm doing too.
Yeah. Um, they're definitely still like running this shit. They're in control. But couple of things here. And again, talking about them both, they're kind of I moved them down to a 7 for different reasons. I think starting with Ryan, why I'm down to a 7 and not an 8. Coming out of last week, Ryan is definitely now a bigger threat on the board that everyone knows about. And people have actively talked about, like, okay, when are we going to cut Ryan? So that in and of itself isn't great.
Exactly.
Um, Two, I think that heading out of last week with the vote and especially into this week, Ryan has done a worse job at active. Like last week, Ryan was active and gathering the numbers to make sure that Zach left. And this week, because he wasn't in power and he knew he was safe, he wasn't as active. And I think Brogan did a much better job at upkeeping all of those numbers and like gained all of them for himself and not Ryan. And all those numbers still trust Ryan and they don't want to vote out Ryan. And Ryan is still in a great spot. And he definitely still has the capacity to get them back. But right now, Broken has taken the step up on Ryan, I think. And that's why I moved him down to a 7. For Sarah, I moved down to a 7 because I think getting rid of Abby is the wrong move for her. And I think Michael is someone that trusts Ryan and Brogan and does not talk to Sarah a ton. Um, so there's that. So I think like Abby going is a piece off the board for Sarah, and that's not good for her. Um, in the long run of things. With that being said, I think Sarah has done a better job than Ryan this week at actively upkeeping some of the other people. And if anything, has actually done a great job at talking to other members of the house. She had great conversation with Tyler, got back in like good with him.
Hmm.
Good conversation with
That was one of
Jay.
the biggest things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely that. Got back in good with Jay, and although like we definitely, she's still. I mean, I don't think Sarah actually needs Jay to go soon, but like did a good job talking there. Has good relationships with Andy, and still is good with Ryan and Brogan, and has like upkept a lot of that. And more than anything, like everybody feels good with Sarah still. Um, I just think that although fewer people feel good with Brogan than feel good with Sarah. I think those people that do feel good with Brogan feel better about Brogan than they do about Sarah because Sarah has not actively talked game with people. And I don't think she needed to this week. Again, she's still at a 7. That's a fucking high score. Um, but I think they've let it slip a little bit to Brogan. And to their credit, they both have said to each other, like, just making sure we're clocking that, like, Brogan is definitely nothing to scoff at, and he's definitely just as connected as we are. We need to worry about that. So they have clocked it, and we'll see what they do about that soon. Still very high on both of them, but I think Brogan took the cake this week in terms of walking away in the best position, especially if Abby goes.
Hmm. Yeah, I just like ditto everything you said. I mean, people are definitely starting to look at Ryan. If there are a bunch of people who are like actively talking about Ryan, I mean, just the most that I'm seeing right now is Liz with her active hate towards Ryan. But Jay is also there too, and there's a lot of people that are not Ryan fans. And Sarah, yeah, losing Abby this week isn't great, especially when she's so close to Kaylin. Like having Abby there too could have been really great. Um, so not awesome, but we'll see what happens. 7, yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that.
She sees it as I need to get rid of Abby in order for Kaylin to like work with me and not, oh, Kaylin has Abby. Let me just loop in both of them.
Yeah.
Because she's one of the only people that has clocked respectfully that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And
Hmm.
like she'd have the capacity to control them both. I just wish she clocked that like she can control them both and she doesn't need to get rid of Abby to control Caitlyn, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, Tyler.
Tyler, I think, played this HOH very well.
I think so too.
I think he did a very, very, very good job in terms of the moves that he made. What Tyler easily could have done was just retaliate. And that would have meant making Ryan the target and going after the big players that like made this happen. If he made a rash judgment, I think the noms would have been like Max, Julia, and Ryan, and that would have been a fucking mess for him long term. And even though it would have hit one of those numbers off the board, he would have stayed on the bottom. Instead, what he did was he targeted all members of the other side, but he hit the people lower on the totem pole to get back in good with the people in power, which he did. He's now like Ryan, I don't think targets Tyler. Sarah, I don't think targets Tyler. Brogan, I don't think targets Tyler. And those are the three power players right now. And Julia, who's the fourth most connected and dangerous player, also wants nothing to do with targeting Tyler. So like he's definitely recovered big time in that regard. The moves that he made of putting up Michael and Abby and Max, those are three players that respectfully aren't going to be able to do shit to you. They don't have the numbers, the connections. They're not going to be able to do shit unless they win a comp. And even then, I think Tyler's got decent numbers, assuming that he's on the block next to like Jay or someone. You know what I mean? At least immediately. Um, the only part for him that I'm like, still, that I feel like he goofed a little bit was, although I think the moves that he made were great and have set himself up, I think there was still a lot of conversation from people like Andy, like Danny, like some of these people in the middle of like, yeah, Tyler still hasn't talked to me about what his noms are. I have no idea what he's doing. And he was just on the minority vote. I feel like he needs to be talking to me about what he's doing. And I feel like he could have, even just like if he didn't care about what people had to say, even just like checked in with people like, hey, I'm not putting you up. Like, what are you thinking this week? And I feel like he could have been in a much better position. Instead, he's just in like a decently better one. Um, of the people in the minority, I feel better about his chances right now than I do about Jay's, Liz's, and Ava's. Um, Last week I was at a 4 for Tyler. You were at a 5 for Tyler. I'm
Mm.
most definitely raising my score. And I'm kind of in the same spot where I'm like, do I give it a 5 or do I give it a 6? And for me, I am going to give it a 6. I think I'm going to go up to a 6 for Tyler because I realized I just called Tyler it as well multiple times.
But also, that was so dramatic for nothing. I'm also
Well, I
kind
was thinking, that wasn't like dramatic pause. I didn't know what I was going to go. I think I'm going to give Tyler 6 because more than anything, respectfully for me right now, it doesn't matter if you've got a good relationship with Andy or Danny or Max or Caitlin, because what are the fuck are they gonna do? It matters. Sorry, it matters that you have a good relationship with Brogan, with Julia, with Ryan, with Sarah, and in all honesty, on the other side of the house, with Ava, with Liz, etc. Should they win power, which they definitely have the capacity to do. Um, I think he's still probably like towards the bottom of at least Brogan's rankings and like probably Ryan's and Sarah's too. But I don't know. I think he could become a crucial piece and like could sneak back in there. I have more confidence that Tyler will sneak back in there than I do that Ava or Liz or Jay will. Maybe I should be at a 5, but I'm at a 6 because I thought this HOH week was very good for him.
I'm at a 6 too. I think that making that alliance with Ryan and Sarah was crucial.
Yeah.
And that's really going to be something that continues to push him and propel him forward in the game. So I think Tyler's HOH, especially with the fact that he played it a little silently, I think, where he put his people up, he said his piece, and then he kind of took a step back. Especially with the renomination, he said, Michael, I haven't talked to you in a while. You're my replacement nominee. And then said to everyone, I don't care who goes. So I think that's definitely good. And I think he's kind of taken a step back into the shadow, which is something that he needed after being blindsided last week. So 6 for me and 6 for Tyler. Awesome. Lots of shifting this week.
Lots of shifting. It's like I'm curious as to what the house dynamic will be moving forward. It definitely is still pretty fluid, and it's fluid in terms of like everyone has their own set of people, but it is very much two sides, and there is a majority and there is a minority. Um, so it'll be interesting to see. Real fast before we go, I'd love to like talk about like the double
Double,
and
yeah.
what could come from it. The HOH competition is competition recall. And although of all the season trivia comps, it doesn't require as much note taking, and it definitely like you could just luck yourself to a win there. I think there are certain people that like are more likely to win it. And for me, I'm looking at like for me, I think the most likely HOHs, I've narrowed it down to I think five people. And those five people are Ava, Julia, Sarah, Ryan, or Brogan.
I'd really love Julia to win.
I would I would eat that up. Julia is my pick for who I want to win
Because I
HOH.
don't want it to be easy and bad that and Jay just goes.
No, I'd be fine with that. But so wait, let's talk about that. If Julia does win HOH, what the fuck does she do?
Maybe she doesn't want to. Let me see what she says. She said,
I don't know. She asked to like push the HOH back to a time that she could do.
yeah.
Like I think Julia's here to play. I don't think she's here to play from the shadows. I think Julia probably likely nominates my guess, in all honesty, like Danny,
Yeah.
Andy. In all honesty, maybe Sarah. Like I'd hate to see it, but like I don't know what their individual relationship is like. I think Sarah would be safe. She wouldn't go
Sarah
anywhere.
is so, I mean, I only have the insider scoop on Sarah, but Sarah is so anti Julia right now. Sarah is like the next person I want gone is Julia. So I think if Sarah wins, Julia is going to be her target.
Wow.
Um, so we'll see.
That's what that's what I think the winner of this season is going to be the person that is able to be the most self-interested. You know what I mean? And I mean that in terms of like there is a majority right now. The majority is Brogan, Sarah, Ryan, Andy, Julia. Like I'd say, and Tyler. Like, in all honesty, like those are the six people that I think are most in the power structure. And I think the winner of them, if it is going to be one of them, and I'm just saying it is for now for the sake of argument, is going to be the person, despite being the majority, like each of them has such a specific move that would be best for them. And it's about like, you need to win power yourself and make that move. You can't like Ryan, if he wins, isn't going to take out Julia, but Sarah should. But Tyler's not going to. But and Sarah should want Michael out, but like Rogan is not going to want
But I
that.
don't think Sarah's going to do it if Ryan expresses that he doesn't want her to.
And that's fair. I'm wondering if Ryan really expresses that he doesn't want that
Exactly.
though.
Maybe
Like
he'll
that
just be like, it's your,
because I think people could come down with Andy syndrome, which is not expressing what you want and just going with what the most vocal players are saying. And that's why I think someone like Rogan is going to succeed well in this game because Rogan is someone that is vocalizing what he wants and is pushing for it to happen. Same thing with Julia. I think that's why Julia is going to be successful. They're vocalizing what they want and pushing for it to happen, but then framing it like, but I'm totally willing to have a conversation, have my mind changed. This is just where I'm at right now and what I think we should do. And not everyone is saying things like that. Um, so yeah, I think the most likely boots are I think Jay is the most likely. And unfortunately, behind Jay, I think my guess would be Ava, or if the other side of the house wins, Michael
mm-hmm.
or Max. I think, yeah, I'm gonna make four guesses, which granted is almost it will be a third of the
Third
house
of
at
the
the time.
house.
But Jay, Ava, Michael, Max. Maybe Liz. That's too many people.
Well, that's exciting though. We don't know who's going to go. So,
And I'd be sad for any of them to go except Jay.
okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.